Urza's Destiny was a set that hosted a number of interesting cards within Magic the Gathering's history. It was also a set that concluded one of the most broken blocks of all time. My name is Coach, and in this video, we'll be going over the best performing cards of Urza's Destiny. With numerous cards to choose from, we take a look at all the cards and choose the best 20 cards to rank up. A reminder about the way we score and match up these cards. A card in a professional setting will get 4 points if it was part of a top 8 deck for a Legacy or Vintage event, 3 points for a Modern and Extended event, 2 points for its time and Standard, and 1 point going to all other professional events, which include Pauper, EDH, Limited, among other formats. So with that being said, let's get started with this list. Number 20, Sanctimony. The wine enchantment card that lets you gain life when an opponent taps a mountain, Sanctimony was part of 2 finalist decks and 1 winning deck. The first deck that this card was a part of was during the Team Limited format at PT Washington DC back in 1999, where it was used in green-white. During that event, the team that deck was a part of lost in the final round of the event. Sanctimony was last seen in the 3 Deuce deck used by Adam Lane during GP Vegas back in 2001, where it lost in the final round against Michael Postelnick in the extended format. Sanctimony would end up getting reprinted again in both 7th and 8th edition and currently goes for under 10 cents in both paper and digital copies. Number 19, Gamekeeper. The green creature that has the capability of getting another creature onto the battlefield, this card was also seen in a total of 4 top 8 decks. The first deck that this card was a part of that gained the top 8 was in the deck called Abducted Drake during the European Championship in 1999. During that event, the Abducted Drake deck would end up getting 2nd place, losing to Stompy in the standard format. The last time Gamekeeper was seen in a professional top 8 was during GP Lily back in 2005, where it was part of the deck known as Salvager. During that particular event, however, it would only end up being a quarterfinalist deck for the Legacy format. Gamekeeper would get reprinted in both Conspiracy and Commander 2016, and, just like Sanctimony, physical and digital copies go for under 10 cents. Number 18, Plow Under. The green sorcery card that can put 2 lands on top of the owner's deck, Plow Under was part of 6 top 8 decks in its professional career. The first top 8 deck that this card was a part of was during the Team Limited format at PT Washington DC, where it was part of the red-green deck that helped win the entire event. The most recent top 8 that this card was a part of was during Worlds 2004, where it was part of the deck known as Astral Slide. During that event, Astral Slide would win the entire event for the standard format, beating out the 2nd place Affinity deck. Along with that, Plow Under was also part of 2 semifinals decks, both during Worlds 2000 in Brussels. Plow Under would get reprinted again in 8th edition and currently goes for $1 in paper and under 20 cents in digital form. Number 17, Treachery. The blue enchantment spell that lets you control a creature and untap 5 lands, Treachery was part of 9 top 8 decks in its lifespan. This card's first successful showcase was during PT Chicago back in 1999, where it was part of Hector Fuentes' blue LD deck for the extended format. In that event, it was only a quarterfinals deck, with the winning deck of that event being Oath of Druids. Past that, however, it was in numerous top 8s for both Dual Commander and Canadian Highlander. The most recent deck this card was a part of was in Jeskai Aggro run by Randy Buehler for Canadian Highlander during the Mox Boarding House professional event. Jeskai Aggro would actually end up being a semifinals deck for that event overall. Treachery, however, would never get reprinted a 2nd time, and currently this card goes for $25 in paper but just under 50 cents in digital form. Number 16, Body Snatcher. The black creature spell that allows you to get a creature when this card dies, Body Snatcher was only part of 3 top 8 decks in all. Strangely enough, those 3 decks occurred in the same event with the decks of the same name. That event was GP Columbus back in 2007, with all 3 decks that Body Snatcher was a part of being Hulk Flash. Between those 3 decks also, 2 of them were only quarterfinalist decks, but the 3rd deck would end up winning GP Columbus, beating out Red Green Goblins, which was run by Owen Turtenwall in the final round of this Legacy format event. Body Snatcher would not get another reprint just like Treachery, and currently this card goes for under 50 cents in both paper and digital forms. Number 15, Donate. The blue sorcery card that allows a player to take control of a permanent you control, Donate was part of 4 top 8 finishes overall between 2000 and 2001. It first gained a top 8 at GP Philadelphia in 2000, where it was part of the deck called Necro Donate for the extended format, where it was used in conjunction with Illusions of Grandeur as the win condition. Donate would go on to not get a 2nd reprint, and so far this card goes for $7 in paper and under 75 cents in MTGO. Number 14, Splinter. The green sorcery card that has the capability of removing all copies of a chosen artifact from a deck, Splinter was part of 9 top 8 decks throughout Magic's history. It was first successful in the mono-green aggro deck during Worlds 1999 in Yokohama, where it ended up being a semifinalist deck in this competition. It also contributed to the winning Team Limited event for PT Atlanta in 2005, where it was part of Green Black Splash Red run by Gabriel Nassif. The most recent event this card was a part of was during PT London in 2005, where it was the finalist deck for the limited format, which lost to Jeffrey Siren's Red Splash White deck. Splinter would be reprinted again in the expansion Betrayers of Kamigawa, and both digital and physical copies go for under 25 cents. Number 13, Yawgmoth's Bargain. The black enchantment that allows you to trade in life for drawing cards, Yawgmoth's Bargain was part of 5 top 8 decks in his professional career. It first became successful in the mono-black mid-range deck run by Gary Wise in Worlds 1999. In this event for the standard format, it would only end up being a quarterfinalist deck overall, with the winning deck of this competition going to Wildfire run by Kai Boudet. However, Yawgmoth's Bargain would end up being part of the winning standard deck known as Saber Bargain that won the Invitational 2000 competition and beating out the Rebels deck run by Chris Pakula. This card was also used by Reed Duke in 2013, where it was used in the deck called TPS and became a semi-finalist deck in the Vintage Eternal Championship. As of right now, the price of this card is currently $6 in paper form and 75 cents in digital copies. Number 12, Ravenous Rats. The black creature that forces an opponent to discard a card when it enters the battlefield, it was part of 12 top 8 decks from 1999 to 2006. It first had a top 8 in 2 mono-black mid-range decks run by Gary Wise and Jacob Sommer in Worlds 1999. Sadly for both of these decks, they would only get a quarterfinalist placing. Ravenous Rats, however, would be part of 2 first-place decks in 2000 for both PT Los Angeles and PT Barcelona for the limited format. The most recent deck inclusion Ravenous Rats would be a part of was where it was seen in the hand-in-hand deck that obtained a semi-finalist placing in PT Honolulu back in 2006, along with being seen in Urza Aggro, where it would get a quarterfinalist placing in the same competition. Ravenous Rats would get reprinted multiple times in sets like Invasion, 9th Edition, and Magic 2013 among other sets, and the price of this card goes for under 10 cents in both paper and digital copies. Number 11, Compost. The green enchantment card that lets you draw a card when an opponent puts a black card in their graveyard, Compost was seen in 9 top 8 decks in his professional career. While it was included only as a sideboard card, it still played a vital role in deck strategies. It was first seen in the Stompy deck run by Nikolai Herzog in Worlds 1999, where it only obtained a quarterfinalist placing. However, it would go on to win 2 different competitions in 2 different formats near the end of 1999. It was seen in red-green for the Team Limited format, where it helped win PT Washington DC, but was also part of the Oath of Druids deck that won PT Chicago as well. It last had a top 8 in GP Type A back in 2002, where it was part of the deck known as Blue-Green Madness. This deck would end up just being a quarterfinalist deck, with the winning deck of this competition going to the deck known as Hunting Grounds. Compost would only be reprinted again one more time in the 7th edition set, and currently the card goes for under 20 cents in both paper and digital copies. Number 10, Yavimaya Elder. The green creature that was able to fetch basic lands and serve as a form of card draw, this card was seen in a total of 6 top 8 professional decks. It was first seen in the Ice Age deck during Worlds 2000, which was run by Dominic Hotho. This particular deck would end up becoming a semi-finalist deck overall in that particular competition. One deck that Yavimaya Elder was a part of was the deck called the Rock and His Millions, which would end up winning GP Las Vegas back in 2001. The most recent showcase that this card was a part of was the Rector deck run by Luca Verdiani and GP Lily back in 2005, which resulted in that deck getting a semi-finalist placing overall. Yavimaya Elder would be reprinted again in both Commander 2011 and Commander 2018 products, and so far, this card goes for under 50 cents in both paper and 10 cents online. Number 9, Metalworker. The artifact creature that was able to generate mana by revealing other artifacts in your hand, Metalworker was seen in a total of 19 top 8 professional decks overall. It was first successful in Worlds 2000 for the standard format, where both the first and second place deck included copies of this card. Metalworker was also included in 2 other winning decks, 3 other second place decks, and 4 semi-finalist placings as well. The most recent showcase Metalworker was a part of was the Mud deck that was played in GP Edson back in 2014. During that competition, this particular Mud deck ended up only being a quarterfinalist deck overall. Metalworker would not get reprinted in any other sets, and currently this card goes for $54 in paper and under $2.50 online. Number 8, Opposition. The blue enchantment spell that has the capability of tapping out other items on the battlefield, this card was seen in a total of 13 top 8 decks in its professional career. It was first introduced in the professional competition during PT Chicago of 1999, where it was part of Raphael Levy's 5CG deck. During PT Chicago, Levy's deck would end up becoming a semi-finalist deck overall and would only get as close as second place finishes in other professional competitions. Opposition was also part of 3 total semi-finalist placings and 4 total second place finishes, with numerous other quarterfinalist finishes as well. Opposition was reprinted again in 7th edition and was also reprinted as an Amonkhet Invocation card. Paper copies of Opposition go for under $5, with digital copies going for under 25 cents. Number 7. Rofellos Llanowar Emissary. The green creature that was capable of producing more green mana, Rofellos was seen in 15 top 8 decks throughout its professional play. Rofellos was first seen in Worlds 2000, where it was actually part of both semifinalist decks for this particular competition. However, past that, the only other format this card would make significant impact later on would be both in Canadian Highlander and Dual Commander. It was most recently seen in the Mox Boarding House Commander Tournament, where it was part of the Elf Ball deck run by Chris Van Mater, but was only able to get a quarterfinalist placing in that competition. Unfortunately, Rofellos would not get reprinted a second time, and so far, paper copies of this card go for about $23, with digital copies going for under 10 cents. Number 6. Academy Rector. The white creature spell that could cheat in powerful enchantment spells, Academy Rector was seen in 12 total top 8 decks in its career run. It was first seen in the Cocoa Pebbles deck that was run by Tommy Dobson during PT Chicago in 1999, where it was a quarterfinalist deck overall. It would later be part of John Finkel's Saber Bargain deck that would win the Invitational 2000 event in Malaysia, along with being part of a semifinalist deck during GP Hiroshima back in 2003. Just like Opposition, it was recently seen in Tournée des Alpes, where it's part of the Timeline deck that was run by Ugo Scrimelli that gained a quarterfinalist placing in that competition. Academy Rector did not receive a second reprint, and as of right now, Academy Rector is currently going for about $80 in paper and under $10 in Magic the Gathering online. Number 5. Thran Dynamo. The large artifact that can generate 3 more mana, Thran Dynamo was seen in a total of 12 top 8 decks in its lifespan. It had its first professional success back in Worlds 1999, where it's part of the Wildfire deck that won the competition outright. During Worlds 2000, Thran Dynamo was also part of the Tinker deck that placed both first and second place, along with getting 3 more semifinalist placements between GP New Orleans and GP Hiroshima, which occurred in 2003. It would not be seen in another professional deck until 2018, where it would be part of the Paradox combo deck for the Mox Boarding House Commander Tournament that became a quarterfinalist finisher. Thran Dynamo would see reprints in products such as Arch Enemy, Commander 2014, along with the set Iconic Masters, and as of the recording of this video, this card currently goes for under $5 in paper form and under $1.50 in digital form. Number 4. Phyrexian Negator. The big powerful creature that does have significant drawback, Phyrexian Negator was part of 16 top 8 professional decks in its career run. It had its first successful professional runs during Worlds 1999, where it's part of 2 mono-black mid-range decks run by Jacob Slimmer and Gary Wise respectively. Unfortunately, both of those decks, however, would only get quarterfinalist placings in that competition. Phyrexian Negator was also part of John Finkel's Saber Bargain deck that won the Invitational 2000 competition, was part of 3 second place decks, along with being part of 3 semi-finalist decks between 1999 and 2005. The most recent deck this card showed up in was where it's part of the Hulk Flash deck during GP Columbus back in 2007. That particular Hulk Flash deck would end up only being a quarterfinalist deck during that entire competition. Phyrexian Negator would be printed one more time in the dual deck product Phyrexian vs. the Coalition, and as of right now, paper copies of Phyrexian Negator go for under $3, with digital copies going for around 10 cents. Number 3. Masticore. The big versatile creature that was able to do plenty of damage, Masticore was seen in 31 total top 8 decks in professional settings. It was first seen in the European Championships back in 1999, where it was part of the Stompy deck run by Nikolai Herzog that won the competition overall. On top of that, Masticore would go on to be part of 5 other first place decks that included events such as Worlds 1999 and Worlds 2000, PT Hiroshima, PT Houston, and PT New Orleans. This card was last seen in a professional setting in GP Seattle of 2005. During this competition, it was part of the Allurin deck run by Ryan Camara, but would end up only getting a quarterfinalist placement throughout the competition. Masticore would end up getting reprinted one more time in From the Vault Relics, and currently, Masticore is going for the paper price of under $2, with digital copies going for 1 cent. Number 2. Powder Keg. The artifact that is able to destroy certain creatures and artifacts, Powder Keg was seen in 28 top 8 decks in its career run. It was first seen in Worlds 1999, where it's part of the 2 mono-black mid-range decks and played alongside Phyrexian Negator. Overall, it was seen in 7 different winning decks that included decks such as Oath of Druids, Dragon Stompy, and Mud between formats like Standard and Legacy. Alongside that, it had 4 second place finishes and 2 semifinalist placings in events like GP New Orleans, GP Libsyn, PT Houston, and PT New Orleans. The most recent deck this card was a part of was where it's part of the Ravager Shops deck run by Richard Shea. This deck played in the Eternal Weekend event in Pittsburgh back in 2018, where it only obtained a quarterfinalist placing overall. Powder Keg would not get reprinted again in any other expansion, and as of right now, this card goes for under $5 in paper and under 20 cents in Magic the Gathering online. Number 1. Sowing Salt. The red sorcery card that was able to remove all copies of a certain non-basic land, Sowing Salt was part of 29 top 8 decks throughout the card's professional career play. One of the first times this card had a successful top 8 was where it's part of the red-green deck for the Team Limited format, where it placed second at PT Washington DC back in 1999. 6 years later, it would show up again winning the limited format competition of PT London in 2005, along with getting second place years later when it showed up in the Rug Tempo deck at GP Columbus in 2012. From there, it would see more play between 2012 and 2015, where it was more involved in Eternal format competitions. This included winning GP Prague back in 2014, where it was part of the white-blue-red mid-range deck that won the entire competition, along with receiving a number of other top 4 finishes. The most recent deck that Sowing Salt was a part of was where it was seen in the Scapeshift deck run by Matthew Duggan that had a top 8 at GP Oklahoma back in 2015, but has not shown up since then in the Eternal formats. Sowing Salt would be printed again in the expansion Betrayers of Kamigawa, and so far, this card currently goes for under 25 cents in both paper and digital copies. So, there you have it, the best performing cards of Urza's Destiny. If you enjoyed this episode of the best performing cards, be sure to check out my other Magic the Gathering videos such as Card Anthology, along with liking and sharing the video and subscribing to my channel. Be sure to also check out the MTG Timeline video and also the top 100 best performing cards of all time. If you also enjoy my content and would like to contribute to the channel, go ahead and check out my Patreon page and become a patron today. It would be greatly appreciated. That is all I have today, everyone. Coach over here signing out, and I will see you all next time.